We're back in the closet today. I'm still gay. You spend enough time in here, you begin to like it, I guess. Hi my friends, my name is Francis. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm glad you found my channel. Yeah, we're back in the closet. This is my new recording studio, it's my closet. I am back to answer the rest of the questions. This is my cat. I don't have a real cat, so this is my cuddle buddy. So let's just jump straight into it. Can you cheat in polyamory? You can in fact cheat in polyamory. But the thing with polyamory is it's not just an open relationship necessarily. Basically in polyamory, there's a lot of different ways that a person can go about their relationship. It can be that they are two people dating and they go, we can date with three people. Let's have a 3-person polycule. I think it's called a polycule. Sometimes it's two people are dating and one person's like, I want to date multiple people. Sometimes it's not dating, it's just they have different partners that aren't necessarily romantic partners, but that their actual partner that they're with is okay with it. That's the important part of polyamory, is it takes a lot of communication. Still, you need to respect your partner's boundaries. Just in a monogamous relationship, is that the opposite of polyamory? In a monogamous relationship, different people consider different things to be cheating, and it's all about the person. Maybe this person thinks that you shouldn't stage kiss if your partner's in theater. That's their own boundary that they've set with their partner. Other people are like, go right ahead and kiss on stage. I don't care. Some people might think that their partner being a sex worker is cheating. Other people are like, I don't care. Each relationship has its different boundaries and expectations and communication set in place. And that's what's important. And polyamory is no different. If you are in a polyamorous relationship, you have to communicate that with your partner. Are you okay if this, what are your boundaries for this relationship? It could be, date whoever you want. And that's fine. It could be I definitely am okay with us having more than one partner, but I would definitely like you to communicate with me before you pursue anyone, etc. And if you have a relationship where you and your partner have decided we are going to pursue people together and we're not going to just have one night stands, we're not going to go on Tinder separately or Bumble separately or whatever it be, and then the person goes and does those things anyway after their partner has expressed that that's not how they want to go about that relationship, then that's cheating. If they say, yes, we can have multiple partners, I want you to talk to me about it before though. I don't want you just going around and dating a whole bunch of people who I know nothing about. I want to know about these people. And then you go out and you date whoever you want and you don't tell your partner about it, that's cheating. Even though it's a polyamorous relationship, it's a matter of communication and boundaries and your partner's personal expectations and wants for the relationship. You can't see Bob Ross. There you go, now you can see Bob Ross. You can't see Inuyasha. There you go, now you can see Inuyasha. Now you can see Inuyasha. Why can't I not talk? All the things in the universe are set now. Yay. Okay, question number 2. Should I feel bad for not being attracted to insert gender here? No, that's the entire thing of it. It's not a choice. You can't choose who you're attracted to. You can choose who you pretend to be attracted to, I guess, but that's not going to be healthy for you. You should not feel bad because you're not attracted to someone. The person who asked me this, they went on a date with a girl and was like, I don't think I'm not really connecting with girls. I don't know if I like girls. And that's entirely fine. You don't have to feel bad about that. It's entirely you and your experiences with the world. That's what's important. You can't force attraction and have it actually be legit. So you don't have to feel bad for not forcing attraction because it wouldn't be legit if you did. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel bad about being straight. You don't have to feel bad about being gay. You don't have to feel... If you are straight and there's somebody of the opposite gender who you aren't attracted to, you don't have to feel bad about that. If you are gay, you don't have to feel bad for not being attracted to someone. Full send, cut off, you don't have to feel bad. I'm not going to answer all of the questions here today because some of them I don't know if I can answer, and also some of them I think are going to take more research and are going to be more than just a quick blurb in an answering your questions video. What is your favorite gay couple from history? This is a question for me personally. Lily Elbe and Gerda Wagner? I don't know. Gerda Wagner. Sounds about right. I don't know. Those two. In 1904, Lily and Gerda got married as a straight couple, and then Lily later came out as a trans woman. again, and like this is the early 1900s, late 1800s, like this is a long time ago. So Lily came out as a trans woman. You know, she had a legal change and everything. She was actually one of the first people who attempted a sex change and ended up passing away to complications, sadly. But when she came out as a trans woman and transitioned legally and all that, she actually had to divorce Gerda because gayness like was frowned upon. You weren't supposed to be gay. So she had to divorce her wife, even though she and Gerda loved each other and were very cute together. And Lily ended up having to I don't think she ever married him, but she ended up dating a different person who was a guy. Gerda was an artist, and she was a woman who was in love with a woman and was married to a woman, and so she would make gay art. She'd make lesbian art. She would make art about Lily, and very supportive partner, made art about gay sex in the 1900s, and I just love that. Like, I admire that so much. I don't know if she ever got super popular or anything. I don't think that she did, but just the absolute, like, it's just so iconic. I just love them so much. That's basically all I know about them to begin with. I should look up more about them, but yeah, a happy lesbian couple in the 1900s who were married, and one of them was trans, and they had to divorce, which is super sad. It makes me very sad that they had to divorce. But the wife, she made gay lesbian art, and I love it. She was so cool. Like, what a power couple. That's really it. They're just such a power couple. So that's my favorite gay couple from history. What's your favorite gay couple from modern times? Ooh. Why can I not think of a gay couple from modern times? All I can think about are my friends. My friends are my favorite gay couple from modern times. If you're my friend and you're in a gay relationship, you're my favorite gay couple from modern times. That's every gay couple is my favorite gay couple. As long as they aren't abusive, they're my favorite. Bah. Why'd I just bah? What am I, a sheep? How can people be How can people be more supportive of the LGBTQ plus? Why can I not talk? How can people be more supportive of the LGBTQ plus community? This is a great question. I think that each letter in the acronym has a different way that you could be more supportive of them. In general, inclusive language, working on inclusive language. So instead of assuming straightness and heterosexuality is straightness, instead of assuming straightness and that people are cis, like make the effort that like it's not like that. Like, that's not the world we live in. This person's talking about their partner. That partner could be of any gender. Doesn't matter how old the person talking is. Doesn't matter any of the situation, circumstances. Like, we don't know. And so to not assume and to try to be more inclusive. Don't be like, oh, do you have a boyfriend yet? If you're talking to like a high school girl or something. Trying to be more inclusive, using less gendered language. When I walk into the store, a lot of times if I'm hanging out with female presenting friends, the greeter will be like, hi ladies, and no, don't do that. I walked into a Sally Beauty once, and the cashier was actually also non-binary, and so when I walked in, they said like, oh, hi folks, and I was like, oh my goodness. And it really it's so small. It's so small that they said folks instead of ladies, but it made my day, and I remembered them forever. I still think about that person because I'm like, I was bracing for impact and you said folks, and I was completely caught off guard, and it was a good day. So that's one way you can be more supportive of the LGBTQ plus A community. Also, to just try to work on, like, if you notice yourself saying things that might be transphobic or homophobic or anything like that, like, be actively paying attention. There's a lot of things that I think were created as insults towards gay men, which isn't very cool. And I think that there's a lot of things that just sort of work their way into everyday conversation that you'd never imagine were homophobic or transphobic. And I think that if you say those things unaware, that's just gonna happen. But if you say something and someone's like, it's homophobic actually, you can be like, oh shoot, and just say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize, and then work to never say that again. Unless you're talking about how it's homophobic. Similarly, if somebody tells you their pronouns, work to use those pronouns, work to support people's pronouns, ask people what their pronouns are. Like, don't assume. Like, if you meet someone at school or at work or something like that, and the situation is safe and you'll feel okay asking. Like, make sure you take care of yourself. Trans, cis, gay, straight, whatever you may be, like, make sure you take care of yourself in all things. Like, make sure that you are safe and well taken care of. Just ask, like, oh, what are your pronouns? I've had some people who say, like, nobody's ever asked me my pronouns before. They just assume, and it's very interesting how people just sort of assume for especially certain demographics. I've seen a lot on TikTok where people who are African American, people who are Black, they are often assumed to be cis. Like, they aren't as often asked what their pronouns are, which is pretty trash. People tend to think that non-binary has to be like me. That non-binary people have to look like me. Non-binary people don't have to look like me. They don't have to look white and feminine and AFAB and all these different things. Like, they don't have to. Emo. I am not the blueprint. I am not the blueprint. I am just a piece in the puzzle. I am not the picture. Why do gay people have such awesome sense and style? It's because we spent so long in the closet. But I say from a closet. Sociological reasons we could look into for that, and it would be really cool to look into and see like what the answer is. And I really appreciate the question because I feel like it's one of those questions that on the surface level just seems surface level, but the more you dive into it, I feel like could really have potential. So maybe I'll revisit that. We'll see. No, I think that gay people have a sense of style. It's kind of like a community identity. We see people on TV as kids that are gay, and we look up to them, and we can't exactly tell why. It's our gaydar. Our gaydar tells us to dress fancy. I'm not sure. This is a good question. Good questions ought to challenge a person, and this has challenged me. But I think that if you're in a group like, the LGBT plus community, there's certain ways you try to identify yourself with the community so that you can find other people who are like you, who are not going to hurt you. And so if you dress in a way that's flamboyant and queer in its original definition and in its new definition, if you dress in this special, specific way, maybe the cisgender heterosexuals will look at you and go, oh yeah, that's a pretty good style, but the gay people will be like, one of us? Question mark, one of us? Honestly, queer coding, the Hays Code. I just went on a rant in my film class about the Hays Code, and I think that my rant was justified. But the Hays Code was a code in early film. Basically, they wanted to police how film was being done. It was a new medium, and the government was scared of what could be created. So they made the Hays Code, which was to sort of put guidelines and be like, you can't do this, you can't do that. And one of the things was you weren't supposed to show, like, perversion. And so if you were to have a gay person or a trans person on your show or movie, they had to atone for their sins. They had to suffer for their sins. Queer creators weren't probably the biggest fan of this, and they and other creators started sort of forming an identity around queerness that was not expressly queer, so that they could still have queer characters without having to punish them for being queer. I think that's the best way I can... That's, of my knowledge, that is one reason why gay people sort of dress the way they do, is queer coding sort of took on its own identity, and then as we, in our society, grew up and watched queer-coded characters, we were like, oh, I think that's me. And so it just sort of like a snowball effect. That's a potential answer. These are good questions, Vivian. I am proud of you and your question asking. Oh, you ask so many good questions, and I don't have the answers. Why does homophobia and transphobia exist in the first place? This is such a good question, and I have been asking it for a very long time. I often fall back on this idea of oppression Back in the day, before colonization of the Americas, Native Americans and Native Pacific Islanders had third genders, and they revered their people of third gender. That's where we hear the term two-spirit nowadays, because a lot of the individual identities have been sort of erased, and two-spirit is like a reclaiming of that cultural piece that was lost to colonization. And I think that, as with a lot of problems that we face as a society, that queer phobia, is that a word? That homophobia and transphobia is in existence in the first place to hold people down. It's so that other people can get power. It's so that people can say, you know this thing you can't change about yourself? Maybe it's how able-bodied you are. Maybe it's the color of your skin. Maybe it's whether or not we find you societally attractive. Maybe it's whether you're queer. Maybe it's whether you're from this country. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that people use against people, and I genuinely think it's just so that they can put themselves higher in some sort of hierarchy, so that they can get control and push people down. Like, I think that the reason we have oppression and minorities being treated the way that they are is so that other people can elevate themselves by pushing other people down. That's just my opinion. And then why am I squeaking? Here's some questions I was asked a long time ago, and I didn't think to associate it with this channel, but I decided that I'm going to. And they're more questions about me specifically, but I think that they branch out into wider demographics. Why are you more okay with masculine terms than feminine terms? Why do you prefer he over she, even though you are neither? I was assigned female at birth. I was raised feminine. I have trauma associated with my socialization. Things that people told me over and over again that I was not. It's dysphoria, it's oppression, it's all these things that suck. When somebody calls me a feminine term or calls me she, it reminds me of just sort of things that I've been through that have not been great, and it gives me dysphoria. I believe that in a society where trans people are just wholeheartedly accepted, I feel like dysphoria would be such a smaller issue. I could be wrong with that, but I think that that is accurate to say, because I feel like dysphoria is a lot of socialization. When I'm around people who actively see me as a girl and actively treat me as a girl and call me by she, her, and call me a woman, and call me a girl, and call me a lady, ask why I'm buying men's clothes, ask why I'm doing, people who actively feminize me and actively act like I am a girl, being around them gives me so much dysphoria to where I just hate myself. I hate looking in the mirror. I hate my body. I want to cut off all of my hair. I want to just make these dramatic decisions that are not in my best interest. Then when I am in a more accepting situation where people are actually trying, at the very least, I feel a lot better when people are using my pronouns, people are using my name, not dead naming me. When people are respecting me, I find myself, I still feel dysphoria. I don't want to make it sound like transitioning is bad and only a rash decision, because that's not what it is. Transitioning is very important and can be life-saving, and I don't want to discount that at all. I don't want anyone using this video to discount people who do choose to do a physical transition and medical transition. All that to say that terms that I have been growing up with give me dysphoria. I hear them and I'm like, oh no, that's not me. If it was the opposite and people just decided one day that I was actually a guy and wholeheartedly just started everyone acting like I was a guy, I think that I would get dysphoria from he, him pronouns and from masculine terms and stuff. But right now, the way that our society is currently gendered and currently interacting with trans people, it's still even though we are starting to see non-binary representation, it's still a lot of masculine versus feminine and not much in between. Between those two, I tend to lean towards masculine more because of the dysphoria and the trauma and the socialization and all those fun things. When somebody calls me she, I physically cringe. When somebody calls me he, I'm like, I'll take it. And when somebody calls me they, then I feel seen. If somebody were to call me a queen, I would do, that's why I had to change my YouTube name. If somebody were to call me a king, I'm like, I'll take it. That's really what it is. It's versus I'll take it, because it's closer. It's closer to non-binary to call me things that I'm not used to. I hope that answers that question. The last question, maybe I'll make up a question. I'm gonna make up a question and pretend that somebody asked me it. And I'm keeping that in to call myself out. I gotta keep myself accountable, otherwise, who knows? If I don't keep myself accountable, next thing you know, I'm saying I'm Mr. Rogers and wearing a top hat. What? What? You ever say things and then only after it's out of your mouth you process what just was said? Because that was me just 3 seconds ago. I'm drinking soda now. I've made up a question. Wow, somebody asked me a question. What is the question they asked me? Oh shoot, I forgot the question I made up. What is the biggest word that you can just off the top of your head say and spell? Oh wow, thank you so much for asking. I'm actually really proud of this one. It's a word from Doctor Who. God, I love Doctor Who. And the word is the planet that the Slovene come from. The Slovene are these giant green baby monster aliens, and they're gross, and they fart a lot. And the planet they come from is Raxacoricofallapatorius, which is spelled Raxicorifallapatorius. Thank you for asking! Alright, seriously though guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have questions for me, please answer your own question. Okay, I'm tired of it. No, that was not serious. If you have questions, drop them in below. It can be questions about anything. You can ask me about my favorite MCR song and I will rant about how every song is my favorite song. I don't know. Ask me questions. I would love to see it. And thank you so much for watching. I already said that. Drink water, get some sleep, eat some food today, take care of your body, give yourself that nourishment that you need, be kind to yourself, do some yoga, go for a walk, get some fresh air, write 5 things you're grateful for, and watch Mr. Rogers. Yes, that seems about accurate. I love you guys. Goodbye.